The sun has left and forgotten me.
Your stories don't define you, how you tell them will. Hi, I'm Sarah Elkins, your host and chief storymaker at Elkins Consulting. I didn't know it as I worked my way through my career, but now, looking back, I can identify patterns that I can imagine create a lighted path from the beginning to where I am now, a workplace communication trainer and speaker, helping people like their jobs again. No matter where I worked, no matter what my job duties were, my role was always hospitality. At restaurants in high school and college, it was literal. I hosted guests by inviting them into the restaurant as a host, welcoming them and caring for them as a food server, and making them comfortable and content as a cocktail waitress. In my professional life, my job always involved creating an environment of trust and support. One of my first professional jobs was the branch manager of a consulting firm in Washington, D.C. A big part of my role was to design our office space for maximum comfort and productivity. A big part of my job was to welcome new employees, to be a liaison between our office and our corporate office in Vancouver, Canada, and the other company offices around the country, and to ensure our clients felt welcome when they walked into our offices. I moved into a consulting role with that company and facilitated fit sessions and trainings when agencies were implementing new software. That meant making sure the right people were at the table, voices were heard and acknowledged, building trust, and creating a comfortable, supportive environment when training our clients to use the product we were implementing. There's no way I could have known this path before I took any of the steps on it. Some people know what they want to do at a very young age. I was not one of those people. What I did have and continue to have are people in my life who believe in me, who often see more in me than I see in myself, more talent, more skills, more magic. I didn't know I was building this community of walking ambassadors and cheerleaders, but I wouldn't call it luck either. In 2015, I was in a job that wasn't a good fit in any way. I was a compliance officer for a federal grant, and I don't even like rules. To add another layer of difficulty, my boss didn't like me and made some seriously cruel remarks over the 2 years I worked with her. My confidence dropped to an all-time low. Oh, maybe not 7th grade low, but pretty low. Within 6 months of my start date of that job, I was looking for a new job, and that's when I got serious about my activities on LinkedIn. Back then, LinkedIn was mostly a place to post your resume and read blogs from famous people like Richard Branson and Arianna Huffington. I followed a few job search experts and recruiters to learn how to use LinkedIn more effectively in my job search. Liz Ryan and Lou Adler were my heroes. I started seeing a lot of the same names come up in the comments section of some of the best articles I was reading. They added thoughtful, insightful nuggets to the articles, and I started engaging in the comments with them. Over a couple of years, the group started to really gel, and we had a message thread with about 15 people on it, all active participants in the comments. When LinkedIn opened the platform to selected bloggers, all of us submitted our writing sample, and many of us were some of the first non-famous bloggers on the site. We supported each other by sharing and commenting on each other's articles, driving serious engagement. And it didn't stop there. We called each other on the phone. We connected beyond the LinkedIn platform and developed relationships all over the world and in every industry. In August of 2016, I reached out to a few of these amazing humans with the idea of getting together in person. If we've learned this much from each other by engaging online, I said, just think about the exponential learning we'd get in person. Every one of us was working for a large organization at the time, and we all had different ambitions, but with one thing in common. We wanted to serve a greater purpose. At that point, I hadn't considered leaving my W-2 job, even though I always had a side hustle. Writing a book wasn't on my radar, much less a podcast or a TED Talk. But 23 of us met in Atlanta, Georgia in February of 2017, though none of us had any expectations beyond building community and learning together. But at the end of the second day, as I heard all kinds of ideas, starting with the words, Well, next year we should. I thought, oh shit, they want me to do this again? That first No Longer Virtual Summit was a success. A few days after we all returned to our homes, articles were being published by NLVers with titles like, I came for content, I left with a tribe. That was Zach Messler. And would you travel 2,461.9 miles to connect with your LinkedIn network? That was my friend Amy Blazka. And since 2017, we've connected in person to learn together in Denver, back in Atlanta in 2019, Chicago, Park City, Utah, Chicago again, and in Missoula, Montana. Every year, the content mirrors the needs of small business owners and entrepreneurs, from marketing and content creation to an introduction to AI tools, topics ranging from belonging and inclusion to building your brand across multimedia platforms. The things that remain consistent every year are the generous, supportive, wicked smart professionals who attend and facilitate sessions, the intimate size of the group, which is never more than 35, and the sense of community that's nurtured and sustained throughout the year. And so many of us are now self-employed, have books published, and have started podcasts in that time. What I've noticed recently is that because of the success of this incredible gathering, I found myself building a different kind of community where I live, too. Feeling so supported and valued changed the way I choose to spend my precious time and energy. I'm taking on a big challenge soon, something way out of my comfort zone. And when I mentioned it to a few friends, they burst into action with overwhelming enthusiasm. We want to help. We want to be there to support you. My eyes teared up with gratitude. To have people react like that is exactly what I needed in that moment. And last week, when I asked a group of friends in person to meet so I could practice, their reaction was similar, full of joy for being asked and the opportunity to support me. And that's exactly what we need, right? But how does that happen? I can tell you that it happened for me because I became that person. I showed up, supported people doing interesting things. I was selective about who I chose to spend my energy and time with. People who made me feel good about myself. People who supported me and asked me the hard questions to make sure that I was thinking things through. People who, when I said, I have this crazy idea, immediately responded with, whoa, how can I help? Remember, you can't really build community if you don't allow and encourage others to contribute. And that means you can't always be the one giving. You have to be someone who can ask for help and receive it with grace. Now it's your turn, listeners. I encourage you to take time this week to consider who is in your circle. Do you have a diverse group of friends and colleagues who support and encourage you? Who ask you the hard questions and who believe in you, sometimes more than you believe in yourself? Are you that person to others? And do you receive help with grace? If you can't jot down at least 3 names right off the top of your head, you might have some work to do. Here's one idea to help you find and nurture that community. Look back at the times in your life when you felt confident, when you felt like you were contributing and found satisfaction in the work you were doing. Now, look for local activities where you're likely to meet like-hearted, not like-minded necessarily, but like-hearted people. Maybe that's joining a book club, spending time at the library or a local bookstore, getting outside for walks, hikes, or maybe take a walking tour of your community. If you're feeling really brave, maybe it's time to join us at our next No Longer Virtual Summit. Registration is open now, and it's limited to 25 guests. No Longer Virtual 2025 will be in Austin, Texas, February 10th and 11th, and you can find all the details at elkinsconsulting.com. Will you join us and finally connect beyond the keyboard? I hope to see you there. Thanks for listening.
You must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if just smile.